Welcome to the Housing Authority of the City of Erie's Housing Choice Voucher Briefing. Since you've been determined eligible for the program, we will need to go over the following information. In this briefing, we'll go over the program rules and regulations, how to submit a unit for inspection, how and when to report changes in your household income and composition, the steps needed to recertify, and the expectation and responsibilities between us, the Housing Authority, you, the tenant, and the landlord. Please make sure to have your packet that was mailed to you and something to write with. Let's get started. What is the Section 8 program? It is a rental assistance program for families, elderly, and the disabled to afford decent, safe, and sanitary housing within the private market. The money allocated for the program starts with Congress, which is then passed to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. HUD then disperses funds to the housing programs, such as Section 8, and then it's payable to the landlord on your behalf in the form of a housing assistance payment, what we often refer to as HAP. This slide shows the City of Erie broken down into 30 different census tracts. The Housing Authority of the City of Erie covers only the areas that are within the City of Erie. The boundaries cover from Lake Erie to the north side of Grandview Boulevard, and then from the east side of Pittsburgh Avenue to the west side of Bird Drive. This program consists of three major key players. First, the PHA, which is the Public Housing Authority, that's us. Second, the landlord. And third, you, the tenant. All three of us are connected through three different documents. The PHA and the landlord are connected by the HAP contract, in which the landlord and the PHA both sign. The landlord and you will be connected by the lease agreement. And then there's the connection between you and us, the PHA and the tenant. We are connected by the Housing Choice Voucher. HACE's responsibilities. We are to make sure that your calculation of your rent is accurate based on the information provided to us. Scheduling inspections and recertifications at the appropriate times, making payments to the landlord, and making sure that all rules and regulations are being followed by all parties. This includes taking action when not followed. The landlord's responsibilities are to select a voucher holder to lease their unit. This may include a screening process such as the application, credit and criminal background checks, pet deposits, and landlord references. They must comply with the HAP contract, provide and enforce their own lease, include filing for eviction when not followed, and collect a security deposit from you. The PHAs do not have any part in the security deposit. Please be aware that while landlords are responsible for collecting the rent, this does not necessarily mean coming to the door. The landlord should provide you with their preferred method, which is stated on the lease agreement. A common practice is to pay the rent at the bank, in which the landlord will provide you with an account number. Your responsibilities, the tenant. This program is an income-based program, which means that your portion of the rent may change based on your household income and/or composition. It's imperative that when reporting information to our office that it's true and complete information. The unit in which you will be renting from must be your main primary residence. You must follow the requirements of your lease, comply with HACE inspections, refrain from drug-related and/or violent criminal activity, and please make sure to notify our office prior to moving or terminating the lease. Your eligibility with the program can be terminated if not following the program rules and regulations. Reporting changes in your household income and composition is extremely important. Why? Your portion of the rent is based on your household income. Not reporting or reporting in a timely manner could cause you to have to pay the wrong amount and could also result in unreported income, which is money that you would have to pay back. So what is a timely manner? It's in with 20 days of the change. So let's say you started a job January 1st. You would need to call and report that change by January 20th. How do you report changes? There are a few different ways that you can do this. You can call our office, the number's been provided to you in the packet, and you can request the forms to be mailed to you. You can go online to hace.org and submit a change in income form. The verification of your change would have to be provided. This can be emailed, put in our drop box outside, or a housing specialist may provide you with an email address. What kind of changes need to be reported? Any that you have in your household income or composition. Some examples are employment status, Social Security benefits, when you start or end only, cash assistance, pension, child support, unemployment, self-employment, settlements, inheritance, and when adding or removing someone from the household. If you feel you've been a victim of housing discrimination, you can call 1-800-699-9777 or go online to HUD.gov to file a complaint online. Included in the packet is the book entitled A Good Place to Live. Please review this book and keep in mind a few things when looking for a unit. The inspection starts with the outside of the unit. If you're in a multi-unit building, the common areas will also be included. Make sure you have adequate space for you and your family. It's a good idea to take a tape measure with you. You don't want moving day to come and then realize your furniture doesn't fit. Please make sure that there are working smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors. You have a GFCI outlet within 7 feet of water source. Bedrooms have their own windows and entrances, locks on the bathroom doors, and please make sure to check the windows. You want to make sure that the windows can open and close properly. Units do not require washer and dryer hookups, closets, storm doors, storm windows, or screens. If they are present, they must be operable and in safe working condition. So, where do you find housing? The Erie Housing Authority provides an updated list from interested landlords. A current list is included in your packet. You can look on the internet, newspaper, perhaps a family or friend may know of an available unit, and often signs are posted on property. New landlords are always welcome. Please note that the owner, principal, or interest party cannot be the parent, child, grandparent, grandchild, sister, or brother of any member of the family unless the PHA has determined a reasonable accommodation for a person with disabilities. As mentioned, the unit must be within the City of Erie. Your voucher. This was included in your packet. This form is personalized to you and it stands as proof that you meet the eligibility requirements for the Section 8 program. Shown here is the number of bedrooms you qualify for. The maximum number of persons is 2 per bedroom. Please keep in mind that our policy does allow for some age and gender variances when determining bedroom size. Your voucher will be good for a total of 120 days. Contract rent and payment standard. The landlord rent request will be approved or denied by the Section 8 inspector. Landlords are not allowed to inflate price due to subsidy. To determine if the requested rent amount is approved or denied, we must compare it to other unassisted units of the same type, size, location, amenities, and utilities. Each year, HUD publishes a payment standard per unit size, which includes utilities. The payment standard puts a cap on the maximum amount of assistance the housing authority can pay. When the lease does not include utilities, the tenant is given a utility allowance. Allowances are the conservative cost of tenant-paid utilities. Examples are gas, electric, or tenant-supplied refrigerator and stove. Maximum initial rent burden. HUD has in place a maximum initial rent burden. This means the tenant cannot pay more than 40% of their adjusted income for gross rent. The initial rent burden is applied each time a family moves to a new unit or signs the first assisted lease at their current unit. The gross rent is the total cost of rent plus the utility allowance. Let's assume the requested rent is $850 and the tenant receives a utility allowance of $200 for gas, electric, refrigerator, and stove. The gross rent equals $850 plus $200 for a total of $1,050. Let's review this example. 30% of the tenant's adjusted income is $210. 40% of the adjusted income is $280. The gross rent is $1,050. The payment standard is $950. The gross rent of $1,050 minus the payment standard of $950 equals $100. $100 exceeds the payment standard. Next, the family share equals the 30% adjusted income of $210 plus the $100 that exceeds the payment standard. This total is $310. Since $310 exceeds the 40% adjusted income of $280, the housing authority cannot approve tenancy and the family cannot rent the unit. You've found a unit that you love. Great. Now let's get it scheduled for the inspection. On the left side of your folder, you'll find a green stapled packet. The instructions are listed on the first page for you to refer to. Our office will need the attached documents: the request for tenancy approval, RFTA, and the amenities form. Both are green. and the proposed lease with the tenancy addendum attached. The tenancy addendum attached is the 2 white pieces of paper. The request for tenancy approval. This form is to be given to the landlord to fill out. The full address of the unit, including first floor, second floor, and/or apartment number, the number of bedrooms, the year the unit was built, the proposed rent the landlord is requesting, the security deposit. Please remember the PHA does not pay any part of the security deposit. This will be your responsibility. Any subsidies associated with the unit and the structural type. At the bottom of this form, the landlord will have to indicate what type of fuel source is being used for the heating, cooking, and water heating. Then on the right-hand side, under Paid By, the landlord will indicate who is responsible for that utility by marking O for owner and T for tenant. The same is to be done for the refrigerator and range. On the back of this form, the landlord will write in their information on the left side, shown in red, and you will provide your information on the right, shown in blue. Please make sure to provide a good contact number. This amenities sheet is for the landlord to check what is included in the proposed rent. This example shows the unit comes with central air, garbage disposal, range, hardwood floors, and is cable internet ready, and has 1 bathroom. If the unit has a garage on the property, but you are not permitted to use it, it would not be checked. The landlord will have to write in the full address of the unit, sign, date, and provide email if applicable. The final document needed is the proposed lease. This document is not provided by HACE and we are not party to it. Remember, the lease is what connects the landlord and you, the tenant, together. Read your lease. When reading the lease, ask, does this cover all the issues important to me and my family? Make sure you understand and discuss with your potential landlord things such as who pays for what utilities, repairs, exterminating, is there a minimum requirement for renter's insurance, the rent due date and how it should be paid, what type of renewal clause there is, and can I have a pet? Please note that if you are currently living in the unit, a new lease will need to be submitted. Please do not include the starting or ending date, rent amount or security deposit, and do not sign the lease. Once these forms, the request for tenancy approval, amenities, and the proposed lease with the tenancy addendum attached are filled out as discussed, they can be submitted to our office to schedule an initial inspection. There are 3 types of inspections: initial, biannual, annual, and interim. We're going to start with number 3, the interim inspection. These inspections are for deficiencies the inspector has cited requiring repairs to be made within 24 hours, or to request a complaint inspection due to items that are breach of HQS. Please refer to your A Good Place to Live booklet. This type of inspection should only be requested after you have called your landlord and have given reasonable time for the repairs to be made. Number 2, annual inspections are conducted on a yearly basis, and a biannual inspection is conducted every other year as long as it has passed for the last 2 years. Our office will guide you as to what type of inspection you qualify for at the recertification time. And number 1, the initial inspection. This type of inspection is what you will be experiencing first. Remember, the green forms with the attached lease and tenancy addendum are required to have this inspection scheduled. At the time of the inspection, the unit must be vacant and be ready to be rented, unless you are currently living in the unit. The unit must pass the inspection to receive an effective date as to when HACE will start making payments. If the unit happens to fail, 30 days will be given for repairs to be made and a re-inspection to occur. Moving is approaching quickly. Please keep in mind some associated costs like security deposit, first month's rent, possible utility deposit or hookup fees, and the moving truck with mileage. Don't forget, HACE does not pay until the effective date. This move-in, move-out checklist is provided to you as a courtesy. It should be filled out prior to moving into the unit. Go through the unit with the landlord and make notations of things like nail holes or the condition of the carpet and flooring. Take pictures as you go through and attach to this form. When moving out, you can request that the landlord go through the unit with you and refer back to this form and the pictures. A good rule of thumb is to leave the unit in the same or better condition in which you started. Here is the contact information for National Fuel and Penelec. You will need to contact both utility companies only if you're responsible for paying them and have the utility confirmation slip filled out. This form is yellow and can be found in your packet on the right-hand side. You will have to provide the date in which the utility will be put in your name, the account number, the signature, name, or employee number of the representative you spoke with, and the date the form was filled out. You can also provide your first gas and electric bill. Let's go over the steps to getting the effective date. Scheduling the initial inspection. Remember the green form with the lease, the request for tenancy approval with amenities form, and the lease tenancy addendum filled out per the instructions are needed to schedule the inspection. The inspection. The inspector will go to the unit checking for any deficiencies. If the unit fails, 30 days will be given for repairs to be made. The rent requested by the landlord will be approved or denied. If the rent is denied, the inspector can try to negotiate a lower amount. No side agreements are to be made. Signature. Once the unit has passed inspection and the rent amount approved, contracts are drawn up by HASTE staff. The landlord will be asked to sign 3 HAP contracts, and the landlord and tenant will have to sign the executed lease. Also, signatures will be required on 2 additional forms, the lead-based paint form and VAWA. Approved. HASTE will approve the date as to when the housing assistance payments will begin. A copy of the contract, lease with tenancy addendum, the lead-based paint, and VAWA will be mailed to both you and the landlord. Utilities. If you're responsible for paying the gas and electric, remember you need to submit the yellow utility confirmation slip or your first bill. Once a participant in the program, this master file form is used to inform you and the landlord with important information such as your portion of the rent versus our portion and the effective date the amounts will start. Please follow along with the different parts of this form. Shown in the upper right-hand corner is the contract number, voucher number, and the last 4 of your Social Security. The action code. A list of codes and their meanings are included in your packet. For all of you, you will see an action code 1. This means new admission to the program. The effective date in which the information on this form becomes effective. Then we have the owner's name and address, followed by your name and the address of your unit. Here, you will see information of payment breakdowns, appointments, requests for additional information, or even notice of termination. It's important to make sure that you read all the information in this box. Below the box, we have 2 sections. The left side, which shows prior rent amounts, and the right side will show you the current rent amount. The top number is your portion of the rent. The second is our portion. The third is the total rent, and the last line is for utility reimbursement. If you happen to see an amount listed here, this will be payable to National Fuel or Penelec on a monthly basis. You do not need to apply for this. If qualified, the amount will calculate automatically. The bottom section shows signature by HASTE staff, the date, initials of the staff who printed this form. Once in the program, you will be required to participate in an annual recertification. You will be notified by mail of a date and time to have an interview with staff. A review of household income and composition will be done, and you will be required to provide verification of all information. The appropriate type of inspection will be scheduled for you. If a unit fails inspection, 24 hours to 30 days will be given for repairs to be made. The time allotted depends on the severity of the deficiency. Failure to comply with the annual recertification, interview, and inspection will result in termination of housing assistance. Terminations. You could be terminated for the following reasons: expired voucher, vacating the unit without proper notification, eviction by landlord for lease violations, non-rental payments, pet violations, disturbing neighbors, having no utilities, failure to submit paperwork as requested, failure to comply with the annual recertification process, unreported income, failed and/or missed inspections, subleasing, not using the unit as your primary residence, criminal activity, or unauthorized occupants. Regarding unauthorized occupants, overnight adult guests are permitted to visit up to 14 days in a calendar year with HASTE's written approval. If the visitor stays for more than 14 days in a year, it will be considered a violation of the family obligations and grounds for termination of the assistance. Informal hearings. Informal hearings can be requested when a termination has occurred. When you receive the notice of termination, you will have 14 days to request a hearing. This must be done in writing. You will be notified of a date and time within 30 days. A hearing officer will conduct the hearing by reviewing the case and asking questions based on fact and evidence. The hearing officer will then contact you by mail with a final decision. VAWA. VAWA stands for Violence Against Women Act. It provides protection for any victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking, regardless of sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation. This notice is included in your packet. Please be aware our office handles this matter with the utmost of importance. The information shared through VAWA is not kept in your file for all staff to see. If you are subject to VAWA, you will be required to fill out the proper forms. Portability is a process in which you can transfer your Section 8 subsidy to another jurisdiction outside of the initial PHA. HACE may use its discretion to approve or deny any ports. You must be in good standing with your landlord, and you should be aware of other PHA's regulations regarding payments and bedroom size allocations. Shown on the right are areas that surround the City of Erie that you may want to consider for portability. Here are additional housing authorities within Pennsylvania for your convenience. This is a list of the public schools located within the City of Erie. A benefit of having a voucher within our housing authority is the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. This HUD-funded program enables families to increase their earned income and reduce their dependency on welfare assistance and rental subsidies. This is done through a 5-year contract of participation, connections to services, goal setting with a caseworker, and with an interest-bearing escrow account. Here are services within our community that may be able to assist you with security deposit, childcare, employment, credit, and legal aid. Thank you for watching the voucher briefing. If you have any questions, please call our office at 814-456-2028.